Okay, so look, I'm really sorry about gremlins and things that some people are having, but in fairness to the folks that are here, I'm going to start this presentation because I want to be respectful of your time. With the apology still hanging in the air, and hopefully more people will be able to access this. I don't know why some people seem to be having trouble with the link. However, you should be able, oh, there's somebody else here now. You should be able to see a mind map that says how to use the law of attraction to quit your day job in the center in big red letters. So I'm going to minimize everything else and tell you what we're going to do this evening. Well, it's evening for me. I'm not sure where you are in the world now. There should be a chat box, and I think you can see a little red flag that says turn on to chat or click to chat or something like that. And when you click on that, it will ask you to register and log in, which you're welcome to do. But at the moment, the other gremlin I'm having is that I can't see who's logging in. It won't show me at the moment. So again, I'm very, very sorry about that. With that said, here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to give you a big promise. Because what I'm going to do towards the end of this webinar is I'm going to make you an offer, but I don't want you to invest in that, because here's my promise. You will get inspiration by the end of this training. That's my goal. You will be inspired to know how to use the law of attraction to quit your day job, what you can do. You will know something about that. You will have some sort of flash of inspiration before we're finished this training. And if you don't, then don't invest in the offer that I'm going to present you. It's a pretty incredible offer anyway, by the way. Oh, good. My friend has got in. So that's my promise. So it's a pretty bold thing. So I'm putting my own neck on the line here, because if I don't live up to the promise, then obviously, well, you're going to get a good time anyway. Whatever happens, that's my intention. So let me begin by telling you a little bit about. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. So let me give you a little bit of background about why I'm here talking to you and telling you how you can use the law of attraction to quit your day job. And I'm very aware that the law of attraction is a concept that can seem very woo-woo, airy-fairy, there's no science behind it, kind of thing. And I'm not here to argue the case one way or the other for or against it. But I will tell you my own relationship with it, my own background, and how I came to consider it a worthwhile tool, because I was initially a great big skeptic. So let me just tell you a little bit about me. That's me there. I'm Trevor Emden, and how I came to have anything to do with the law of attraction, because as I say, it doesn't seem like something a level-headed, down-to-earth guy would be doing. So until I was in my 30s, I struggled with my own self-esteem. And I think I managed to cover it up fairly well to the outside world. Had good friends, had a good job, quite a successful career. I'll tell you about that in a second. But a lot of things had happened to me in my childhood. I lost my mum when I was 9. For a couple of years, my father remarried, and my stepmother was quite abusive to me, mentally, emotionally abusive. And I was just a little kid who'd lost his mum, kind of thing. So I didn't understand all of that then, but it left me as a teenager. She left us, so the abuse stopped. But all of that roller coaster ride that I had in my formative years left me wondering what life was about, and kind of I wanted to be here. Don't get me wrong. I really loved being alive, still do. So I didn't have that kind of reaction. I didn't have a depressive reaction, but I was frightened. I was frightened that things could hurt me, and there was nothing I could do about them. And I was frightened of rejection and loss and those kind of things, I guess. And I suppose they all kind of went together. So I didn't really think that I was very worthy of success or love, or I just muddled along really and hoped that enough people gave me the breaks. Excuse me, which by and large I suppose they sort of did. But my love life was terrible. My financial situation was generally terrible, very much hand to mouth, often in quite a lot of debt, because I just lived for today, and I'll just spend it now, and who knows what's around tomorrow. My career was in, and I chose a career very deliberately and quite consciously, really, because of my background in psychiatry, psychotherapy, and I loved it for a long time, and I learned to be very good at it, and of course I learned a lot about myself along the way, so it was a win-win situation. And I trained I wanted to be a psychotherapist. That's really why I went into psychiatry in the first place, because I couldn't see, as being in the UK particularly, another gateway into psychotherapy. So I used my psychiatric training to get in there, and I trained in something called NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry if you don't know what it is, you can Google it later, but it's a very powerful set of tools really for dealing with how we process information, and it's important that I tell you that I have that background as we go through this webinar, because you'll see that actually they go together in a very meaningful way. And then I was introduced completely, as far as I was concerned, out of the blue to the law of attraction. I was introduced to it by people that I liked and respected. So they surprised me a little when they told me that they thought we could create our own reality with our thoughts and our beliefs. And at the time that concept came to me, which was the sort of early 1990s, long before The Secret came out, my own life was very much in a mess, and my career, as I put here as well, was in a rut. I loved it for 18 years or so, but by then I got stuck. I couldn't go any further. The government over here, which was Mrs. Thatcher's government at the time, was radically changing our health service, closing hospitals, especially in mental health, and my career came to a kind of, well, got stuck really, and I started to get frustrated with it. So that happened, and my own life was also falling apart. My first marriage came to well, it was a disastrous marriage in the first place, but came to an end. I was in a lot of debt, couldn't see a future career-wise. It was a very, very difficult time. And then post-marriage, there was a brief but very intense relationship, and that came to a crashing end, and I hit rock bottom emotionally, the lowest I can ever remember being. And again, I didn't want to die, but I couldn't see what was the point of a future, if you see what I mean. So I really hit that. And at that time, people started, I suppose, trying to help me, but also things came, a book and a workshop that I had been booked onto months and months before all that happened. And it was all of these things were about law of attraction. And I liked the idea. I liked the possibility that maybe our thoughts have some influence over our reality. But then I started to think, well, how much of our reality can I influence the weather? If I wanted night to follow night instead of day, could I do that? I mean, that's kind of, there's the laws of nature. I'm sure I can't influence those. And so I became very interested because I wanted to change my own personal situation and have a better chance of a better future, but not convinced by any stretch of the imagination. And then one day, it took me a few years, really, I think, because I saw my two worlds, my world of work in psychiatry and psychotherapy, as very separate from this study of law of attraction, which I almost kept a secret from most people who knew me, um, because I just thought they would think I was weird. Um, so I kept them separate. It never occurred to me, even in my own home, that I could put the two things together. But when I did, bam, everything changed. Literally almost overnight. I mean, not quite overnight, but things started to just fall into place in ways that I would beyond explanation. All kinds of things, and some of them are not really tangible. Some of them are to do with peace of mind and a sense of balance that I can't really describe and can't put my finger on. So the tangible ones included wonderful wife, money coming out of all kinds of places that I didn't expect, incredible coincidences, people showing up that I hadn't seen for years and giving me information or opportunities that were life-changing at the time, and still these things happen to this day. And the big key, the big cornerstone to it that I will refer to during this presentation is that instead of trying to do something all the time, what you put first is being, how you are, so that the struggle stops. Instead of I must figure out this and I must figure out that, and I have to do this, and if I do all that, and if I put in the work, and of course we still take action, but there's no struggle with it. Now, all of this, fast forward to 2013, I had actually quit my job before that, but I was made an offer that, well, I suppose I could have refused, but it was an extremely good offer. There was a lot of money involved. It was a new company, and they headhunted me and made me a very good offer. So I said yes. And it was a short-term contract that ended at the end of 2013. Very, very interesting work, lovely team of people, great organization. And I felt utterly frustrated. And by the end of that year, I was actually becoming ill, in a way that I'd not felt before, like a real exhaustion that I couldn't shake. And as the short-term contract was coming towards its end, I said to my wife, I'm not going to renew. I'm not going to go back next year, which is now last year. And so I quit my job. My wife backed me. She's a lovely lady. But I quit my job, and my only plan was to make money on the internet. Now, you should know that I had been trying to make money on the internet for a long time and had not got anywhere with that. And so I had no way of knowing how I was going to succeed. But I just knew that I could create the reality that I wanted. So let me tell you how I did that, and I'm going to try and not be too prescriptive in the technique, but I know that I have to give you some do this kind of steps, because there's no other way to explain how to do something. But please remember, it's about being first. That's really important. And I put that in capitals, but I should have actually put it in enormous print. But just be aware that that's key to making this work. So, and just so that you know, in case you haven't, because I know some of you have come from different parts of the world and from different places on the internet. Just so that you know, I wrote a book which is available on Kindle with the same title as this presentation, called How to Use the Law of Attraction to Quit Your Day Job, as the anniversary of my first year of being day job free. Was hoving into view, which was obviously the end of December 2014, just as New Year was coming up. So that's available on Kindle. Now, I'm not telling you that to promote the book, although of course you're welcome to go and buy it. But I'm telling you that I survived a whole year with no plan B. never gone back to work, haven't had another job, and all kinds of things, people, ideas, all kinds of things have showed up because of this. Okay, so let me move on and show you what the first step is. The first thing you need to have in place is belief. You need to believe that you can do this. You need to believe in you. So overcoming self-doubt is the first thing. So if you are watching this, listening to this, and thinking, yeah, well, it's all right for you, I could never do that, you probably had something to say, or you'd already got things prepared, or you had whatever you think it was that gave me the edge over you, you're wrong. Because I didn't believe that. But yeah, I did have I had a bit of background in working online and so on. So I had some skills, but that doesn't matter. You can start from absolute ground zero. People do. And even right now, I have clients, coaching clients, that I'm showing how to do that. Absolutely. From not having a website, not having a presence, not even having an idea. You have to believe in you. And the key to that is understanding that you are your greatest resource. See, it's here. You are the greatest resource. It's not your bank balance. It's not your credentials. It's not the certificates you've got hanging on the wall, or I don't know, laminated or buried in a briefcase or a drawer somewhere, or the exams you've taken. Those things may or may not help you. But you are the resource. You are the repository of unique thoughts and ideas and beliefs, and the combination of those, you know, whoever you are, John Smith, Jane Bloggs, whoever you are, however old you are, whatever race you are, whatever background you come from, all irrelevant, because you are the only one of you there's ever been. Now, you may think to yourself, well, you know, the only thing I know is about, I don't know, stamp collecting. And you know, what do I know compared to other expert stamp collectors? And you know, I've picked on a topic about which I know nothing myself. Well, I haven't collected stamps since I was about 10, I think. But nevertheless, I can guarantee you, if that's your passion, you will have knowledge or ideas or thoughts or some way of maybe mounting the stamps or collecting the stamps or displaying the stamps or something that somebody else hasn't thought of. You will have your own unique way of doing it, even if you copied it from, you know, the Encyclopedia of Stamp Collecting. It's still your style. You have the way of putting it. You know, I love writing. I've always loved writing all my life, and I remember my dear old dad, who's now no longer with us, sadly, but saying to me once, there are no original stories under the sun. And I was in my mid-teens, I think, probably, when we had that conversation. And I remember being struck by that piece of wisdom in quite a negative way, because I thought, well, if that's true, then how can anybody write a new story? And in fact, now I understand better, but if you study something called the hero's journey, for example, you will see that there are millions of stories based on those very basic, I think there are, I can't remember how many steps, 12 or 20 steps, something in the hero's journey. Millions of stories. The Wizard of Oz is based on that story. Star Wars is based on that story. And many soap opera storylines are based on that story. They don't have all the steps in all the time, but you know, someone overcoming obstacles and learning about themselves and breaking through resistance, and all of those things happen over and over again. But if you wrote a story, you are the only one who can tell the hero's journey your way. So you are the resource, and you make things happen. You know, this training, this very webinar that you're listening to and watching now, is here because I thought, why don't I put on a webinar and explain to people how I did this? And even though I sat down and I put this mind map together and I conceived it in this particular sequence, even as I speak to you, I don't know, I have no script. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. I just know that I know where I'm going to get you, and I know the A to B to C to D and so on to get you to the finish line. I know how to get there, but I don't know what I'm going to say in advance. And tomorrow, if I was to do this again, I'd say it all differently. Maybe I wouldn't say stamp collecting. Maybe I'd say something else. You see what I mean? So there's no, it's your uniqueness that people want. It's, you know, and for example, I'm teaching you, amongst other things, I'm teaching about the law of attraction. Now, I can tell you, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you, you can go to Amazon right now and search for law of attraction, and dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of books, and probably DVDs and all the other formats that there are, will come up, and they will tell you something similar, but they won't tell you in my words. And I may just say the one thing that makes the penny drop. And then you will say, do you know what, that Trevor Emden, he taught me something about the law of attraction. I never thought of it that way before. I never realized that before. Hasn't that ever happened to you with teachers? Happens to me all the time. People tell me stuff I've heard a bazillion times before. I think, oh, now I get it. Because they said it in a way that I'd not thought of it before. Or maybe in a moment when I was just ready to receive the message. Who knows why these things work? But so what I'm saying to you is the actual content, some of the content of what I'm telling you today isn't totally original. I didn't invent the law of attraction. I'm not the first person to quit a day job. But my particular adventure, my particular way of understanding it, putting it across, is mine. That's unique to me. And if you choose to follow my lead and take these steps and do it yourself, you will have your own story and your own adventure. You won't be exactly mine. So you are the resource, and that's what people like. People buy people. You are a saleable resource, and you have ideas of your own. So putting those two things together is really, really important. Then you have to trust the universe. Now, look, I have to be mindful of time here. And we're already half an hour in, and we lost a few minutes because of the gremlins. But the universe, for lack of a better term, I mean, whatever, the higher intelligence, that whatever makes it all work, you know, this, I'm shying away from words that have religious overtones and connotations. I don't want to go down that road, because this is not about that. This is about, if I say to you, can you grow a daisy? If you're a gardener, you would probably say to me, well, yeah, I could get some seeds from daisies, and I could grow you some daisies if you really wanted me to do that. A bit unnecessary, because they seem to grow quite well all by themselves. But I don't mean that. I don't mean, could you plant some daisy seeds and grow more daisies? I mean, from scratch, could you create something as complex as a daisy? And the answer is no. If daisies didn't exist, you would not be able to create them. Or how about an eyeball? You know, a working, seeing eyeball. I mean, those are just amazing things, aren't they? I'm trying to give you a sense of wow about life, about the universe, because it works all by itself. And if you observe nature, if you observe, you know, the seasons, winter turning into spring and spring into summer and so on, do you notice any struggle about that? Even if there are storms and earthquakes and all those kinds of things, the earth just gets on with it, and the universe gets on with it. It creates stars, and stars die. It creates black holes, and even black holes apparently die eventually. Galaxies, bazillions of galaxies, each one with millions and billions and billions and billions of stars. I mean, it's all beyond our comprehension and beyond belief. But it does all of that just silently, and it just gets on with it. And something created you. Now, I'm not talking about the biology of that. You know, we know about the birds and the bees and what our parents did. I don't mean that. But out of two tiny microscopic cells, you are here. You, with all your personality and your humor and your thoughts and your beliefs and your hopes and your dreams and your ideas and you, the unique, amazing you, all without effort, all without effort. So when you have an intention and you focus that intention, why shouldn't the energy of that intention simply reverberate into the ether of whatever is out there and influence what happens? At least that. Why would we think we are so completely separate and locked inside our own skulls and our own bodies that we have no influence? After all, things have influence over us. You know, the wind and the rain and the environment in all kinds of ways influences us. Why would there not be some kind of reciprocation? And science now tells us that, you know, what reality is made of is kind of nothing. Solid matter, which certainly looks and feels and is experienced by us and our senses as solid, when it's actually analyzed scientifically, is made of something completely ethereal called energy, which we don't really yet understand. And then we get into quantum mechanics and all kinds of stuff that I'm certainly not qualified to talk about. And even if I was, we don't have time to do that right now. So it's not that the universe or reality isn't solid. It is solid to us. That is our reality. But at the same time, there is a non-solid reality. At the same time, it's not either or, it's both and. It's something I've been doing quite a bit of research into recently. It's the both and concept. So that's part of very important. You have to believe in yourself and believe that there is a power. I don't mean putting your hands together and pleading to a being that lives beyond the clouds and saying, please give me some money, or please help. I don't mean that. Because it doesn't work in that kind of way. It's a joining of energy, you and the bigger picture. You are small and separate, and you are part of the whole, the greater whole. It's both and. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip of water. So you need also to look after your mind and body. Self-awareness. That is part of your being as well. You need to take time off, I've put here. The work-life balance is important. So the first few months that I was job-free, I would skip sleep. It wasn't that I didn't sleep. I did sleep. Well, I wasn't losing sleep. It was really lovely to not have an alarm clock, but also there wasn't a bedtime. And because I was working on the internet never sleeps. And I started to get to know people all over the world as well. So there are people who are awake when I should be sleeping and so on. And eventually, after about 3 months of that began to, like, I have to have some discipline and some balance. And also I was aware that whilst it seemed like I don't have to go to work today, it feels like a day off, I had to balance that with my social life and with time with my lovely wife as well. And if you don't do that, then you can't expect to be productive or inspired or inspiring even. So self-awareness is important. So that kind of covers that as well. So those have to be in place for you to take this step. So I suppose I should issue here a caveat and say to all of you who are here, don't just take the leap. I'm not telling you to be irresponsible. I'm suggesting, I'm just going to see that we are still broadcasting okay. Yeah, I'm not telling you to be irresponsible. I'm telling you to this needs to be a very, this is a very serious thing to do. Of course it is. So the next step is about adding value. Okay, so And here's where I'm going to, in this section, I'm going to deliver on that big promise that I made at the beginning. So pay attention. So that as I've laid the foundation of this, because what I said to you was, you are the resource. So now if I say to you, what can you give? Before I click on that, and if I say, what can you give? I suspect that you would probably say, because most people would, and I would have been one of those most people for a long time in my life, that the answer would probably be, well, nothing special. You know, I'm a nice man or woman, but I'm nobody in particular. I'm not extraordinary. And I want you to flip that over. This is not an ego trip. I'm not telling you to get big-headed about this. I'm telling you that you are extraordinary. You're unique. You're the only one of you there's ever been or ever could be or ever shall be. You are unique. So what can you give? Right? So when I coach people to do this, I tell them to create their product, create their own product out of something they love. Now, the first reaction that I almost invariably get is just what I've told you. People say, well, who wants to know what I've got to say or do or show them? And then we have a conversation, usually within the first 20 minutes, and they're going, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do, yeah, and people always, yeah, I'm always being asked about, yeah, I see what you mean. And gradually we tease that out. So what you always have something to give. Think about, if you have kids, what do they ask you about? If you have your peer group, what do they want to know from you? And why do they seek out your company? It's not just for knowledge. It's not just, hey, let's ask John over tonight and ask him about his knowledge of butterflies. You don't do that. Let's have John round for dinner. We haven't seen him for ages, because John's a nice fella and you like his company. So if you are John, maybe you could try and be in their shoes and think, well, what do they see in me? What's good about having me around? Now, we're very uncomfortable generally doing that. Most of us don't like to look at ourselves that way. Maybe different where you are, but I'm British, and we're certainly brought up not to blow our own trumpet, not to give ourselves airs, as it used to be called. And again, I repeat, I'm not telling you to have an ego trip and go, hey, look at me, aren't I wonderful? That's just arrogance. Nobody enjoys that. But to know inside that your uniqueness, is enjoyable, is fun, is good to be around. Okay, no one can do it like you. No one tells a joke quite the way you do. Maybe you're terrible at telling jokes, but even that can be endearing. It's like people who sing out of tune. Oh, there he goes again, singing in the bathroom. But hey, I'd miss him if he didn't do it, or if he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying that anyone will want a product about how to sing out of tune, but people will respond to you. It's your uniqueness, and it's all to do with that being thing, remember? So what can you give is ideas, is ways of doing things, is little twists on things, and there will be lots of little how-tos in there as well, I suspect, if you want to go down the road of creating a product. Then you find people who need you. Now, they're easy to find these days on the internet. They just hang around. It's like there's suddenly an infinite number of water coolers out there and coffee bars and stuff, and they're called forums and Facebook groups and Yahoo Answers and lots of other places where people cluster together in their groups. So I'm sure if you wanted to find some stamp collecting groups, just go to Facebook, type in stamp collectors or stamp collecting, and there will be dozens and dozens and dozens, I'm sure, that you could join. That's one way, for example. And you get to know them, and then they get to know you, and then it's not too difficult to start letting them know that you have created a product or written a book or made a video or something that they might be interested in. You have a newsletter perhaps, and so on. Okay, so see, I've put this in big bold letters because this is the promise. Now, in order for the promise to be delivered, you have to play along a little bit. Okay, so because that's only fair, isn't it? I'm not going to ask you to do anything fattening or immoral or illegal or dangerous or anything like that. It's very, very simple, and you don't have to go anywhere. I just want you to notice right now. I've been talking for a while now about self-belief, and I want you to notice if inside you have any resistance to that. It's like if there are any thoughts or feelings that are inside you going, yeah, this is all very well, but this is not me, I couldn't do this, that kind of thing, that kind of self-talk going on. Okay, and just notice it. I'm not asking you to change it. If you try to resist it, it'll just come back louder. It's like throwing fuel on a fire. All right, that's not going to work. I'm not going to ask you to do that. But what I do want you to do is to change your body language. And the least I would like you to do is just, I assume you're sitting somewhere, but sit back, take a big, deep breath, unfold your arms if they're folded, uncross your legs if they're crossed, put your feet firmly on the floor, take a big, deep breath, and put a big grin on your face. And of course, let the breath out. I don't want you to be holding your breath. But just smile. Even if you don't feel like smiling, please do it. Now, I just want you to notice, just by doing that, and that was like, what, 8-10 seconds maybe? If that feels any different, just a little bit from the way you were before. It doesn't mean that you're going to believe that you can do this or believe what I'm saying. Don't mean that. I'm not asking you to make any leaps of faith. Just notice how just a tiny, tiny shift in your own physiology, that's all you did. Sit back, square your shoulders a bit, unfold your arms, uncross your legs, put a smile on your face and take a deep breath and let it go. That's all. That simple act has the power to change everything. So while you experiment with it for a little longer, I'll tell you a true story. Because back in the autumn of 2008, that was the year, you may remember, when the world's banks collapsed like dominoes. And the knock-on effect on my life was that a major source of income come the autumn dried up. I'd relied on that source of income for nearly 10 years. But it was agency work. It was casual labor, if you like. But they used to phone me several times a week and give me work. And it had been so reliable, I'd even bought my house on the income. But in October of 2008, the phone stopped ringing. And my wife and I had the conversation that you would expect any couple to have under those circumstances, which was, what are we going to do? Because money started ebbing away faster than it was coming in, and our savings were dwindling. Obviously, that's not a situation that can endure. So, oh well, it'll probably be all right. It doesn't last long. This is healthcare. They always need people. Somebody will go sick. Somebody will leave. The phone will ring again. It didn't. Occasionally it did, but nothing like enough to give us the income that we needed. So another week or two went by, no income. And we had the conversation again. What are we going to do? And nothing. That conversation would always end with us looking at each other, and it was just a case of which of us will be the first one to shrug, because there is no answer to that. And finally, another week or so went by, and we had the conversation a third time. And this time it was a Saturday morning, and we were having breakfast in our kitchen, and the radio was on, a music station, which we like. And we had the what are we going to do conversation. And I was about to shrug when I remembered what I taught you before. Remember what I told you? It's about being, not doing. And I said to my wife, you know what, honey, we're asking the wrong question. And she said, really, what's the question? I said, the right question is, how shall we be? And she, okay, she said, I'm willing to go with that. I don't understand, but how shall we be? And I said, let's think. Let's be playful. So she said, okay, what do we have to do? So there was something boppy on the radio at that moment. So I said, come on. And we got off our breakfast stools and we had a little bop, a little dance around the kitchen, just for a minute, maybe. And we giggled. And then we sat down again. And she looked at me and she went, well? And I said, and for a split second, I thought, that doesn't make any difference. And then in the next split second, I said, hey, you know what? We don't need that phone to ring. She went, what do you mean? And I said, we don't need that income. We don't need that source of income. We just need an income. It could come from anywhere. And she said, oh, yes, I suppose so. Why? What else? How else could we generate income? And I said, oh, I don't know. There must be lots of ways. I said, I could do, one of the talents I have is I can play the guitar, but it's not that easy to just get gigs without some sort of established reputation. And I didn't have any amplification equipment either. But the other thing I can do, and I've been paid for in the past, is writing. And I said, I bet I could get some writing work. So I fired up the computer, got online, signed up with a website called elance.com. I think it cost me about $9 to open an account with them. Put up a little resume of my writing abilities and topics I was interested in, and forgot about it. And the next morning, Sunday morning, opened up the computer, checked my emails, and there was one from Elance. I had an offer of a contract worth $1,000. An offer, not just, this was somebody who'd found my little resume and actually said, I want him to do it. $1,000 overnight. Now, I can only say to you that thought, which now when I tell that story, I look back on that incident, it's like, it was obvious. Anybody could have thought that, but it wasn't obvious until we changed, or I changed my state. That thought never came to me. Weeks and weeks we'd go on, it's quite nice having all this free time, but we need some money. Hope the phone rings. And it didn't. And we were blinkered. I was blinkered in that little groove that, that's where money comes from. If that phone doesn't ring, we're sunk. And that was kind of my thought process. And I would just go round and round and round that little loop tape in my head. When I changed my state, inspiration came. That's what you need to do. You remember I said it's about being, not doing. You still have to act. I then took action. I then went and opened up the computer, did something about it. You act on the inspiration, but you act from inspiration instead of from desperation. It's a massive shift in what happens. So I've put here your primary intention starting now. Now, that's to remind me to say to you, because remember we started here with what can you give? I want you from now on, from this moment forward, to make it your primary intention as you go through your day, as you go about your business, to make anyone you meet for any reason, no matter how fleeting, even if they're a complete stranger and you just pass them, bump into them in the street, or if there's someone who, you don't know who they are, but they serve your coffee, or when you put petrol or gas in your car, whoever they are, that you make it your primary intention to make them feel better than before they met you. You don't have to, it doesn't mean you have to exchange phone numbers or get into bed with them. It just means that, you can smile. You can pay them a compliment. You can thank them in a way that they really get. I appreciate that. Because you know what? There are no unimportant people. Everyone has their hopes and their dreams and their fears and their worries and their heartbreaks and their health scares, and all of us. No one's immune from that stuff. And someone who just says, I really appreciate you. If it's appropriate, a hug. But that's kind of invasive. You don't want to do that to people you don't know. But smiles and thank yous and eye contact and compliments and those kind of things are free. And you will be amazed at two things. One, how good you feel doing it. And two, how many good things start coming back to you because you just, even if you don't meet anybody all day, but you just have the intention. I speak to someone on the phone or in an email, or I will do something that makes them feel a little better than before they had a connection with me. Just make that your primary intention. Your life will change, I guarantee you. So, marketing yourself. You need to focus down onto one thing. I'm not going to go into that in depth today because of time. But when you market yourself, if you're sort of saying, oh well, you need a hook to hang it on. That's all I'm saying. So if your idea is, well, I know how to make money, then give them away. You know, how much money and how soon and in what particular way? Is it by selling encyclopedias or flipping websites or real estate or gambling? What is it? All right, so you need a hook to hang it on. That's all that's about. Overcoming the fear of selling because people are, well, you know, I don't like being sold to, and I don't want to sell anything to anybody. Yes, overcome the fear of selling. You're not selling, you're giving people something to improve their lives. You know, let's face it, we don't generally have a fear of buying, do we? So we actually don't mind being sold to when it's something that we really want. What we don't want is some pushy whatnot shoving something that we really don't feel we want into our face and say, go on, go on, go on, go on, have that, have that, have that. Of course not. Nobody wants anybody doing that, and nobody would tell you to do that. But if you give something of value, people will come back for more, just like you will go back for season 2 of The Walking Dead or whatever. Because whoever made that series obviously hit a nerve, and people like it, so they come back for more. They don't have to sell you, and they say, well, season 93 is coming next week, or wherever they're up to by now. Right? They don't have to tell you that, or they don't have to sell you that, because as soon as they tell you, if you're a fan of it, must make sure I record that, or I'm in for that, because you want it. Right? So when you give something of value, here, what can you give? And here, you are already marketing yourself, and so you become automatically, people say, oh, yeah, I'll have that off you. How much do you want for that? Without you even saying, I have it for sale. Sometimes that happens. And the other thing, get a coach. I think my coach is on this call. Hello, my coach. James, I think he's on this call. He was. But I would not have made it without my coach. I have to say that. And that's because some of this, when you do have the doubts and the self-doubts, and it's not just the how-tos, it's the how are yous that a coach can really, really support you with. Both and, remember? Okay, so I want to move on because I want to be respectful of time. So, how to cope when it doesn't seem to be working well. A coach is important in that. Managing your state, I've already told you to do that. But also some other tips. These are practical, down-to-earth things. See, it's not all airy-fairy. It's both and. Complete tasks. Don't start something and think, oh, that's probably not good enough. I'll come back to it. Complete it. All right? Complete it, even if it needs editing, redoing, whatever. Things do. They're not usually perfect first time around. That's okay. Organize your work and your day so that you do have some time off, you do have some family time, you do have some, leisure time with the TV or a glass of wine or whatever it is, your way of unwinding. You need that. Self-discipline, I hate that term really, because it just sounds like, now I haven't got a boss telling me what to do. I have to be my own boss and tell myself what to do. Yeah, kind of, but you can be a nice boss. Right? It's just that get some way of organizing yourself. There are plenty of electronic organizers now. If you're working on a computer, it's just easier to have the computer remind you. But, good old-fashioned pen and paper. You need some way of keeping appointments, a diary, You know, I have clients and I have them all over the world now. So different time zones, different days of the week. And obviously they've got complex lives as well. So we have to work around that. I couldn't work it without a diary. Also have a wallow day. You know, you will get times when, oh, it's just not working. So instead of resisting that, just kind of go, you know what, today I'm just going to let myself believe it doesn't work. But tomorrow I'm back at that desk or whatever it is that you do. So allow yourself, sometimes, not every day, you know, once every 2 or 3 months, maybe. That happened to me in that first year. And there were days when I just didn't have enough sleep or something, and I just like, oh, I can't do it today. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to shut down the computer. I'm going to go for a walk somewhere beautiful, or I'm going to take my wife out for lunch or something, and just be nice to yourself, right? One of the things that I learned to do a long time ago is give yourself a little treat. It does not have to be expensive. In fact, the lady that taught me this, her great love was perfumed soap, nice bar of soap. Now, I have no particular affinity with perfumed soap. If I want to give myself a treat, a physical treat, I'll probably go and buy a nice pen. I like pens. But it doesn't have to be that. A wallow day doesn't have to be that. Just, okay, today's a day off. I'm not good today. And you're allowed 1 or 2 of those every so often. Not 2 together. One, and then you get back in the saddle. You can't have a wallow week. Okay. Do one thing rather than procrastinate is a great tip. Just kind of, oh, I don't know, I've got this on the boil and that idea and that project's half done. And okay, just decide if you're having one of those. Right. Choose one. If you can't choose one, roll a dice. Okay, number them 1 to 6 or 1 to 12 and roll 2 dice, or however many you've got. And whatever number comes up, that's the one you're going to do. Have a plan B if it helps, but stay with plan A. I didn't have a plan B. I absolutely decided I'm not going back to work. And I used to have a registration which allowed me to work in that profession, which I let lapse. And that was a seminal moment. That came in May of that first year. And that was like, oh, should I let it go? And I did. Eventually it was a piece of paper, and it got ripped in half and straight in the bin. Or if you're American, it went in the trash. But it's the same thing. Use role models and model them. People who are already successful. How do they do it? Not just what they do, but the way they are. Body language is massively important. Do that thing again. Do it. You know, put a big silly grin on your face. Take a deep breath. You know, it changes the way you feel. You know, you suddenly know, oh, I was really tense, and I was having a big scowl on my face, and I didn't even know. And if you're really stuck, remember, this too will pass. Nothing is forever. You will get through the tough times. And I put this section in because I want you to know, if you quit your day job, no matter how wonderful the universe is and how amazing you are, there will be some tougher days than others. If every day was absolutely perfect plain sailing and you made, like, I don't know, $10,000 a day, well, you certainly wouldn't be on this webinar. And also there'd be no challenge anyway. So, you know, part of the fun, you have to see it that way, is, well, now I'm self-employed, and now, you know, there are, just like in any other job or in any other realm of life, there are good days and some more challenging days. That's it. And sometimes I challenge myself because I discover my own demons and gremlins, and things get in the way, and the chat box doesn't work. And hey ho, get on with it, get over it. It will pass. Now let's go into the slightly more airy fairy realm, right? Higher guidance. Meditation, intuition and meditation, massively important, because what meditation allows you to do is this: let go and let God, as the old saying goes. Because meditation takes you beyond thought, and it teaches you to empty your mind. Now, I have discovered a way of doing it. I can teach it now, but not here. Once you learn to let go, see, we tend to resist meditation in westernized cultures because it looks from the outside like sitting doing nothing, and we're resistant to that. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, your being still, what it gives you is inner peace and inner stillness. And if you're going to get inspired to take action and to do things that are going to make you money and that you love, which is otherwise what's the point quitting your day job, then you need to learn that letting go thing. You need to learn, because the ideas bubble through. If you know, I love Wayne Dyer. One of the things that he says, I've heard him say several times, is when babies are born, the parents and whoever else is allowed in there gather around the newborn child. Oh, it's a miracle! Thank you, God. Thank you, God. But it's okay now. We'll take over from here. And we do that with so much of life. It's like, oh yeah, right. Well, I'm the one. I've got to drive this forward. Yes, you have to take action, but actually, the ideas and the opportunities will show up, and they will pop into your mind, and they will pop into your awareness and into your reality as well. If you let go, this is hugely important. The higher guidance can't get through if you keep interfering. You do have to take action. And on those down days, by the way, the ones when you get into the wallow state, that's when you think you have to be in charge all the time, right? You're not doing it wrong. If you are already a meditation, think, oh, maybe I don't know how to do it, or it doesn't work, or so. It's techniques. I don't like techniques. You have to have them, but it's like you find your own way. You have I'd rather call them uniques, because and that should be spelled YOUNIQUES, uniques, because it's you. You are doing it. You figure it out, which is why. I mean, as I say, I can teach meditation, or I can teach a way of meditating, and I have got a little program about that now. But eventually, you'll find your own way. You'll find your own way, and you do not have to sit in the lotus position. Or, there are reasons why the Zen monks and so on sit in that position, and I've read those reasons, and they look quite interesting. But my legs won't go that way. All I think about is how uncomfortable my knees are. Okay, so I can't meditate like that. So be open to other ways. Our resistance about that's the proper way to do it is no. Let go and let it happen. So, and then we come back down to earth. Help from earth, right? So join groups and forums, whatever marketplace you decide to enter into, whatever way you go. Join groups and forums. Talk to people who are actually in it. You don't have to sell to everybody. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about exchange ideas, make friends. It's as simple as that. This is now the modern way to do it. And hey, you know what? You can make friends with people all over the world because we have computers and the internet. Isn't that fantastic? Friends and family. Now, if you go to your other half or whoever is reliant on you and you say, look, I believe I could survive without my job and the universe will provide, unless they're quite advanced spiritually or just an old hippie, they will probably think you've gone slightly cuckoo, right? So you do need to get their support. However, ultimately, you have to get the message across, and this is something that I coach people with sometimes. You have to get the message across that in order to feel fulfilled and to be someone who loves yourself, you have to follow your destiny. If it's important enough to you, you have to find a way. Usually, well, in fact, always, I think I can say, where that issue has come up, and it doesn't come up all that often, but when it does, we have found a way to communicate that to the significant others so that they get that, hey, I'm not here to stifle you, but we have to survive as well. So you work out some kind of deal. There is always a way. So that's all I'm going to say on that for now, because obviously everyone will have their own individual issue with that. Get a coach. Said it before, say it again. Get a coach, because someone else who can light the way, help you hack through the jungle, help support you on the difficult days, show you alternatives, stimulate more ideas, give you inspiration, is just irreplaceable. There is no substitute for that. Get a coach. Dissenters and naysayers. Yes. Now, there will be people who will tell you that you're talking through the wrong orifice, that you're taking a ridiculous risk, you're being irresponsible, those kinds of things. First thing to realize about them is that they're jealous. They're saying that to you, if they say that to you, because they wish they could do it too. Nobody says that with your best interest at heart. If they really love you, they're your friends, whatever, they're going to say, good luck. I'm going to watch with interest, see what happens. Right? And I'm here for you if you need a friend. That's what friends do. The dissenters and the naysayers, if they are there, will fall into 2 or maybe 3 camps over time. First, some of them will just drift away. They just think you're nuts. They can't cope with watching you succeed and being free. They will drift away. Sad, maybe, but true. Some will. Some will be inspired and will follow you. They will go, hey, you know what? Yeah, I really dig what you're doing. And 1 or 2 may lead you. They may actually say, hey, you know what? If you want to do this, let me show you a better way. And they may become your partner or just a friend. So don't worry about them. They may show up. Eventually they disappear. Eventually it stops happening because you're doing your thing, and you will get on with your life, and that's it. Celebrate your achievements. If you make 1 penny from your business, yeah, don't go out and have a great big party, but do something, celebrate, have a little dance around your lounge, your living room or something, but make sure that you are aware, hey, you know what, that's a breakthrough. If that's my first ever sale and it's 1 penny, yesterday, in fact, a minute ago, I didn't have that penny, and I didn't have that customer, more importantly. Somebody gave you that penny. Okay? So, I have a coaching plan for you, because if you would like me to be your coach, because I have walked and I'm still walking this path, then I will show you what I have to offer. Now, I'm telling you that stay here, because I'm going to do Q&A with you in a minute, if I can figure out a way to do that. But what I'm about to show you is only for attendees of this training. This is not available anywhere else, and it's very, very limited, and there will only be a very limited time that I will do this. So I have a personal development program which includes all the self-belief stuff, to which I will give you full access. Okay, now this is where I show you some stuff. Okay, I will also take you personally into a group coaching session. Now this has to be groups, because of how this is set up. Twice a month. Now this is a 12-week program, so you will get 6 sessions. Okay, and I'll close that one for a second, and I will those sessions will be based on these themes, although they won't necessarily follow this exact sequence or plan, because it'll be mutually, you can see I fly by the seat of my pants to some extent, but I know the steps to take. Some of it will be pragmatic. Do this, do this, do this, do this. In fact, quite a lot of it will be that, because this is going to take care of quite a lot of the law of attraction stuff. But I will be also sending you other videos, which at the moment nobody else ever has seen, okay, on the actual practical stuff as well. So you'll have access to those, and live coaching. So how to plan your escape. We'll actually work out a plan. How to market from your heart. There's no point in you even contemplating walking out on a perfectly well-paid job or good job or secure job if you're just going to create yourself another job that you don't like. You have to actually want to do this. You have to want to, like, I want to follow my destiny, my path, and do what I'm good at. You know, and I really wanted to write and create self-help programs and do the kind of thing I'm doing right now. Nothing gives me greater pleasure. I'll show you how to create your product out of thin air, out of your inspiration and your ideas, and we'll turn it into a tangible thing that people will pay money for. And then I will show you how to find your market and position yourself as an authority very quickly in that marketplace, whatever it is. Okay. And you will also get, and we will mix and match these tutorials and coaching on the law of attraction, trust, self-belief, and so on. Okay. Now, this is not for you if you're already freelance and successful at it, or if you're someone who quits at the first setback and never follows through. I don't, you know, you have to be able to say, I'm going to do this. And by the way, I am not telling you leave the day job and then come and join this. I'm telling you, if that's the path you want to take, then I will show you how to walk that path. Okay, so it's not for you if you're just going to quit at the first setback or the first tough day. We'll get you through those. Okay, and it's not for you if you're on an ego trip to prove that this doesn't work. You know, it's like, oh, of course, you know, law of attraction. I really don't care what you think about that. You know, I've proved to my own satisfaction, more than my own satisfaction, because, you know, we've put food on the table and paid all the bills actually doing this for over a year now. So if that's your agenda, then good luck. But this training's not for you. So you'll also get support via an exclusive Facebook group that obviously I dip into regularly, and so you will have access not only to each other but to me as well. So if you're open to that idea, here's the very limited offer. What I am offering you here are literally life-changing skills. Now, if you went to college, you would pay, you know, $60,000 and spend 3 or 4 years getting some kind of life-changing skills, and then you would just end up in another job, which stands for just over broke, by the way. Okay, so that's not what I'm doing today, and certainly you're not going to pay that kind of money. What I'm going to do, and I have to, for some reason this doesn't want to click. It will. There we go. So probably seen that already. So what you get is all 9 Wow Factor trainings, but you get them in 12 weeks. That is a value of $8,730. That program usually is that in total. 6 live group coaching sessions. Now I currently charge $997 for 6 coaching sessions. So and we will be looking at these kinds of things, as I've said already: how to sell your passion, how to start gathering raving fans, easy ways to set up the technical stuff. I'll walk you through that. How to recruit an eager sales force, the law of attraction side, capitalizing on it, turning it into a business you can live on in just weeks, because you need to get big money coming in obviously quickly if you've not got a job. I will also give you a book, an ebook called Feel the Fear and Quit the Day Job Anyway. This is not the same as the Kindle book, and that is a $17 value. A special mystery bonus, which I'm calling the Robin Hood bonus at the moment, a private Facebook mastermind group. As I told you, that's priceless and for life, and email access to me as well as your coach. So I obviously live in my own time zone, and but I am online pretty much 7 days a week for some time. So if you email me, the longest you're likely to have to wait for a reply is going to be 24 hours, but usually, you know, sometimes you'll get a reply in minutes. Total value of all that, $1,914, not counting the priceless stuff, which I obviously can't put a value on. Today, only for attendees of this webinar, if it will click, everything, the Quit Your Day Job Coaching Fast Track Program for just $497. And you can sign up at this link. If you go to wizardofwisdom.com/quitmydayjob, there will be a button there, and you can enroll for that right now. Now then, I'm going to, that is folks, that is where the presentation ends. Now, I'm going to see the Q&A, unfortunately, does not work. However, what I'm going to do is log in to my email account, and then what I'm going to do actually for you, if I can get back to the mind map, is I'm going to write my email address on here for you. trev@wizardofwisdom.com. Okay, so so while you're if you could log into your email account, which hopefully you can do from your computer. If you have any questions, I'm really sorry about the gremlin that will not make the let the chat app work for me, but if you want to ask me a question, I will log into my email account and keep refreshing it for the next few minutes to see if you have any questions about this. In the meantime, wizardofwisdom.com/quitmydayjob will get you access to this program, and I will be contacting you if you subscribe to that now. I'll be contacting you within a few hours, possibly even within a few minutes, depending what time you subscribe, to set up our first coaching session. Okay, so trev@wizardofwisdom.com for the Q&A, and I'm going there now to check my emails. So forgive me while I do that, but that's where to send your questions. So I'm still here. So if you have a question, please send it now to trev@wizardofwisdom.com. Okay, right. Somebody's sent me a question saying, will the webinar be recorded and can I listen to it later? And the answer to that is yes. It will be recorded, and I will be posting up a link to it. Well, at least I'm assuming that gremlin hasn't appeared. Okay. So anyone else got a question? I'll just wait a moment or two, because I realize it may take people a minute or two to get into their email accounts. So it's trev@wizardofwisdom.com for your questions, and wizardofwisdom.com/quitmydayjob, all one word, to enroll for the program. Okay, I'm just going to check the spam filter as well in case an email has accidentally gone in there. I doubt whether that will happen, but it is possible. No, nothing in the spam filter. Okay. Right. Okay. Somebody who wrestled with the gremlin and got in. So my apologies, Maureen, if you're still there, about the stupid gremlin. I will be writing to them to find out why that happened. Okay. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. I'll just give it another minute or so. It looks like I'll just refresh that again. Okay, nothing at the moment. So, folks, I hope that's been useful and inspiring. And as I say, if you I'm getting a click coming through, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. I just want to check it's someone trying to send me mail. No, there's a gremlin in the mail account. Okay, just one more check. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your patience, and for being here, and I hope that's been useful to you. So if there are no more questions, and I can't see anybody, I'm going to wrap this up. So thanks again for being there, and I look forward to talking to you soon, and hopefully working with you on our program. Thanks again. Bye for now.